Let's check on what's going on tonight for the State of the Union address. Knowing this, the president will no doubt sell his growth agenda. He'll talk about the stock market, how great it has been, and it has been. He will applaud his own administration's first-year efforts. However, he also has an opportunity to ask Democrats and some Republicans, these people who had opted to shut the government down, what it would take to get everybody together, to work together alongside him in securing a deal on the Dreamers, the so-called DACA issue, and in turn, a federal budget. We bring in somebody who's responsible for ensuring that members of the Democratic caucus are voting in favor of legislation and that the party supports. House Minority Senior Whip, Democratic Congressman Representative Dan Kildee of Michigan, live from Capitol Hill. What do you really want to hear that's realistic? We know President Trump will say what he's going to say, but what do you hope he says?
Well, I think one area where we could find real bipartisan support would be a really big and bold infrastructure plan. And I know the president has made some proposals. I don't think what he has put on the table so far quite rises to the level of being big and bold. You know, he talked about $1 trillion infrastructure plan a year ago when he addressed Congress. I think we need to think about that in a much bigger terms. And I know there are Democrats and Republicans who would set aside their differences on other issues and really lock arms and work on rebuilding America's infrastructure, especially, you know, the challenges in our older cities. I think we could find a lot of common ground on that.
Well, Hillary Clinton, when she was running, talked about a $500 billion infrastructure plan. I would say $1.5 trillion is a lot bigger than your own party's candidate. When you say bigger and bolder, what kind of numbers are you talking about that wouldn't entirely sink us further into debt?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a case of evaluating what the depth of the problem is. Professionals seem to think we have about a $3 trillion infrastructure deficit. Now, I'm not sure we can get there in one bite. But one thing I know for sure is that just like other investments pay us back with increased productivity, infrastructure would pay us back with increased productivity. Just thinking about what our competitors are doing, China spends 10 times what we do as a percentage of their GDP on infrastructure, on ports, on rail, on roads, on bridges. It's one of those issues that if we ignore it, it doesn't go away. These roads and bridges and rails and water systems, I'm from Flint, Michigan, I know a little bit about that.
Amen.
They don't get better when we ignore them.
In fact, that should be the first thing that's tackled, the Flint water system. That and what's going on in New Orleans with the retro problems in Katrina, no doubt, with those issues, because if you ignore them, some people could die. In the end, though, do you feel that there, in 2018, is an opportunity to have less vitriol between the two parties?
I sure hope so. You know, I think it's okay that we have big differences, and I think it's fine that we highlight those differences. But what's not acceptable is when those differences take us to a place that has us essentially becoming, you know, schoolyard bullies, name-calling, those sort of pejoratives. It's not becoming of the greatest democracy ever imagined on the history of the planet. We have an obligation to use a tone that is more respectful than what we've seen. And, you know, I have big disagreements with the president. I have big disagreements with some of my Republican colleagues, probably some of my Democratic colleagues either. Those differences are what make this democracy great. It's not a weakness, it's a strength, and we ought to see it that way.
Congressman Dan Kildee, thanks for your respectful tone here. We appreciate it. We're thrilled to have you. Fair and balanced right here on Fox Business and the Claim and Countdown. Please come again. Thank you.
Happy to.